Morning, Lenny Ratek here for Lenny List for Autism Awareness. Lenny List was started for a purpose, and that was education for the autism community support and what I can do to help make the world a little bit of a better place. Just the average guy from Central Pennsylvania doing what I can. This is going to be informal. I'm just going to have a conversation with you. I am just a high school teacher. I teach students with autism here in Central Pennsylvania. People ask me questions, and Lenny Lift started with a purpose, and now I want to start really going after that purpose. My buddy John sent me a question. He's like, I know your kiddos are out of school, this whole virus kind of thing. He goes, don't they have routines? Aren't they struggling with the fact that they're not there? So I started answering. I'm like, boy, this is the perfect time. I'll just jump off with his questions, and we'll kind of go from there. I have some notes. I have some things there. I'm just going to kind of relax, have my drink with me. We're just going to have a conversation, just you and I. My job is to educate. I don't know all the answers. My wife and I are both teachers of students with autism. We do not have a child with autism. So even though we say we live the autism world, we really don't. Hats off to the parents who have a child with autism doing the best they possibly can. My job is to get that awareness out there, that understanding, that commitment, kindness from others for them. That's my job. And this is the best of my ability, and we'll see how it goes from there. It talks about routines, how we struggle. And I think about, look at all of us with our routines. Do we struggle? I mean, we can see that now. Some people, we've been out from work for going on 3 weeks. Our routines are a mess, and some people really struggle with that. Here's something I'll think about myself as a routine. Obviously I shave my head. If I were to do that in a different order than what I purposely or consistently do now, would I be able to? I don't know. I always start with the right side of my face. Could I start with the left? That might mess me up. Okay, I'll adjust and things like that. The issue can become when those routines become extremely inconvenient. Can also be a safety concern for a person with autism who have those routines. It's one of the earliest signs that somebody has autism is those routines. Now, when I say that, I'm not a psychiatrist. I cannot evaluate. I cannot diagnose any with autism. I'm just everything is from just my experience. But they love consistency, rituals, predictability. Most of us do. We all drive the same way to work. We eat our breakfast the exact same way. We'll make our coffee or our tea the same way. We get dressed. We put our pants on the same leg every time. We try to switch that up. Most of us are going to end up on the ground because we're just not used to that lack of routine. So yes, the routine is a big thing for my kiddos. And as I mentioned that, I know they're not my kiddos, but I refer to my students as my kiddos because everybody knows they're mine. And let's be honest, you don't mess with Papa Bear by messing with one of my kiddos. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Allows us those routines to keep us grounded. Therefore, we can kind of do those kind of things. It's not the same as like breathing. Our body just does the breathing for us. But we have those routines. We can think about other things while we're doing that. Not always the best thing because mindfulness is huge, especially for our students. And I'm in the process of how do I incorporate that in my classrooms, help my students. It's unpredictable. It's extremely unpredictable for us. Could you imagine a person with autism? It's so unpredictable. So if I keep the routines the same, I'm not surprised by anything. Nothing shocks me. Nothing sets me off kilter. If something sets me off kilter, I can adjust. I can have the cognitive ability most of the time to deal with those change of routines. Sometimes our kiddos can't do that. So then all of a sudden with this virus, a perfect example, all of a sudden you're in school, next day you're not there for 2.5 weeks. How do you explain that to somebody who may or may not have the cognitive ability to understand why you're out because of a virus? Everybody's sick. The question is, well, when I go back, is everybody still sick? How do we know everybody's not sick? So all these questions that we have concerns, they have the same concerns. We have to have the understanding. We have to have that communication to talk to them about that. How do we do that? Make things as predictable as possible for them. We do that for ourselves. That's why I think of college kids. They have their routine: 8 o'clock class, Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 o'clock class. It's that same routine. And also, there's that heightened anxiety for our kiddos with autism. Adults, I keep saying kiddos, but don't forget, autism does not stop at 18. It's a lifelong way of thinking and of functioning within the world. So if we can keep that routine, we have those lessen anxiety. But the problem sometimes becomes when those routines can create more anxieties. It's a fine line. That's why it's so intensive with direct one-on-one support and observation and understanding from people to see when it goes from a something that relieves anxiety to something that ups the anxiety. Because all of a sudden, if that routine is not there, then anxiety goes up. And how do we change that? Some of those routines can be food, drinks, uh, same food all the time for lunch or dinner, the same food all the time, or just the same three foods, very limited choice of foods because it's the same routine. Because pizza tastes like pizza tastes like pizza. Yeah, there's little variation, but pizza doesn't taste like chicken fettuccine. There's not that major change. Leaving or entering the house, we have to make sure things are just so. It's a lot of us have the same thing. We have to do the same routines when we leave our house, or we come back in. The keys go here, our wallet goes there. This door gets shut, that door gets locked, this door gets open, those windows are open. We turn on the TV, we turn on the radio, we turn all those same routines we do. These kiddos will do the exact same thing. The difference becomes, it doesn't necessarily become a major inconvenience for us or any kind of safety issues. New places are huge, but you think about it as far as for neurotypical people, when I talk about neurotypical, we talk about people, like myself, neurotypical. Walmart, you go to Walmart pretty much anywhere in the country, they are all the same. Why? Because when people walk in there, there's that, they won't have that anxiety to find out, well, I need to find this, I need to find that. Around here where I live, Wawa and Sheetz in Pennsylvania. You go into Wawa, you go into Sheetz, they have the same layout. Why? So I can walk in, I can get what I need, and I can get back out. There is that, it takes away a lot of that anxiety, that routine. Like to do things in a particular order. I talked about that before. They have to do certain things in a particular order. We do the same thing, getting dressed, the way you eat breakfast, the way you brush your teeth, anything like that. Next one could be transitioning. How you go from one thing to the next can be a big deal. Okay, I'm in this. Now I need to switch that. So now I have a whole different routine. I know what's going on here. How do I know what's going to go on over there? So those transitions are things that are always being worked on with the kiddos at school from any age and from adults. It's the same thing with us. We're doing something that we really like, and all of a sudden, a family member or daughter, son, aunt, uncle, spouse, whatever, your parents tell you, okay, so you need to change. Well, I really don't want to change right now. I like what I'm doing. There's transitions. We almost always, everybody, and I use my own daughters, they'll say, this is the time we're leaving, so they know that transition. The issue becomes when I tell my daughters that, okay, they know at 10 o'clock we're doing this. Some of the autism spectrum, they just all they know is I'm switching from here to there and I don't want to. Okay, and explain that. Communication is huge. As I answer these questions as I go along, I'm going to be writing things down. You have questions, please DM me. Any of my social media, lennylifts.org, Lenny Lifts on YouTube, DM. I have a Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, any of those kind of things. These are the questions I'm going to answer. I am not a PhD. I'm just your average guy here to answer questions, to get that communication out there into the world. That's my goal. One of Lenny Lift's things is supporting the autism community through strength sports. But it's also another thing is 2 at a time. What's that 2 at a time? Me having a conversation with you, and then you having that conversation with somebody else. Lenny Lift's t-shirts have also done that, which has been phenomenal. The big story that has really hit home for me is a gentleman from England sent me a message through Instagram and said, hey man, I wish it was in the States. I want one of your shirts. And I said, you want one of your shirts? My shirts, I'll get it for you. So I got it over there, and a couple weeks later he said, I wore your shirt to the gym, and that started a conversation with the gym owner. And the owner didn't know this gentleman had his son who had autism. So he had a conversation about his son and about autism in general. That gentleman said that conversation would have never started without my t-shirt, okay, which is huge for me, 2 at a time. So that gentleman had the conversation with somebody else, and now that person can have the conversation with somebody else. That's my goal, to get that communication, bring those communications and those conversations to the forefront. So April is Autism Awareness Month, and I want to start with autism acceptance, autism understanding. And how do we do that? And like I'm always going to say, I'm going to keep hammering this home. Number one thing, be kind. This is Lenny Rattecki for Lenny Lifts for Autism Awareness, signing off from my first video. Hope you enjoy. Please subscribe. get this out to everybody else. Let's make a difference in the world. Thanks. Have a great day. Be safe. Stay healthy.